I want your full attention for a moment, because what follows may change how you see every person you share space with. There are figures in our lives whose presence seeps into the deepest corners of our mind and heart, coating them with a subtle, corrosive film. These aren't the obvious villains of epic tales. They walk among us quietly, easily, with a smile and a handshake, and yet something shifts each time they leave the room. Today we explore 6 kinds of toxic people that Carl Jung otherwise warned us about, 6 shapes of human interaction that drain our vitality, distort our self-image and chip away at the quiet center of our being. Hearful to this, because recognition is the first act of freedom. Picture your life as a garden. You plant seeds of hope, trust, joy, connection. And you believe that requires sunlight and water. But what if beneath the soil there are roots that slowly twist around every new shoot, unknowingly choking your growth? Toxic people act as those hidden roots. They cling, they siphon, they redirect your energy back into the darkness. And you don't realize until you're wilted. Let's walk gently into each shape of presence, with an open mind and a courageous heart. First, the mirrorless narcissist. This person looks at you as though you were only a reflection of them, needed, useful, and ultimately dispensable. Their conversation always returns to them, their world expands and shrinks and pulses like a tide around their own ego, while yours becomes a silhouette. Your victories are mere props, your wounds mere scenery. And gradually your sense of self dissolves into the background. Yet you feel the pull, because human beings yearn for being seen, for acknowledgement. When the mirror withholds your reflection, you begin to question your own substance. The philosopher inside you whispers, "Am I less real?" The answer, you are just as real. But you've been treated as a cameo. And you deserve to be the protagonist in your own narrative. Second, the emotional vampire. This person enters a room not with light, but with a black hole of need, drama, chaos, crisis, endless consumption of empathy and effort. You become the healer, the patcher, the rescue line, and they become stronger each time you bend. You find yourself late at night thinking, "Why do I feel exhausted after being around them?" They don't ask for your tiredness, they take it. They convert your peace into their possession. Jung would say, "The shadow has turned outside and you carry it." Your garden is left with trampled flowers while you think you planted them. You must understand, compassion is not surrender. Gentle souls can stop being soldiers in someone else's endless war. Third, the silent saboteur. Not all toxic presence rages, some operate by omission. They whisper kindness, then deny it later, they shift approval into something you must earn forever. Their love is conditional, their support a ledger of debts. You learn to tiptoe around their mood, never free, always on edge. Deprivation becomes your training ground, you crave their admiration like oxygen. And slowly, you believe their indifference has shaped your worth. The philosopher in the room asks, "Whose standard of value am I adopting?" You must recognize that one who withholds support does not withhold because you're insufficient, they withhold because they wield power by making you depend. Walk away, so your growth is not hostage to their silence. Fourth, the perpetual victim. This person has mastered misfortune as their identity. They are suffering, always. They tell you their woes, over and again, until compassion becomes habit, until curiosity evaporates. Their pain becomes the whole scenery so nothing else can grow beside it, including you. When a relationship revolves around rescue, you become the warden of someone's sorrow. But your own light dims because the victim's spotlight never leaves. Jung understood that people who identify with suffering often sacrifice growth to preserve identity. If you're around someone who cannot stop being downtrodden, ask, is their suffering their life or just a chapter? And your life? Is it being edited out? Fifth, the clever gaslighter. This person makes you question your perception, your memory, your sanity. Their words are gentle but twisted, their logic reasoned but cruel. You find yourself apologizing for things you didn't do, doubting your own instincts, confused by your emotional response because they told you how to feel. The philosopher warns, that which you cannot trust inside yourself is not worth living by someone else's design. If someone systematically hijacks your inner compass, you are gradually drawn away from your authenticity. You become a map of their version of you, rather than the original. Regain your self-trust. Stand quietly in your knowing. 6th, the fair-weather ally. At first sight, this person appears as friend, confidant, partner. They are there for the laughter, for the shine of your success. But when darkness comes, not just yours, but life's general storms, they vanish. They ride your highs but bail on your lows. And in that moment you understand, loyalty isn't certain when it's optional. You feel the cold outline of absence and discover that the relationship was crafted for convenience, not connection. The philosopher asks, would you choose a person who stays when the trumpet falls silent? The answer is yes, because commitment is forged in silence as much as in celebration. Now you see the 6. And there is a thread binding them all. They prioritize their image, their needs, their comfort, their power, at the cost of your inner world. Yet you, though wounded, are not powerless. Recognizing is the first clarifying act. You begin to say no, not out of anger, but out of respect for the life you carry inside. You begin to reclaim your time, your boundaries, your energy, your poetic self. Imagine uprooting those parasitic roots and planting seeds of verdant honesty, of reciprocal regard, of freely given trust. And then you must ask yourself, what grounds have you unconsciously given them? Where did you surrender your gate? Perhaps you tolerated the mirrorless behavior because you lacked reflection. Perhaps you let the emotional vampire drain you because you believed you owed yourself less than them. Perhaps you clung to the silent saboteur hoping their unpredictable kindness would mean something. Perhaps you stayed with the perpetual victim because their sorrow felt familiar, comfortable. Perhaps you tolerated the gaslighter because you feared your own truth. Perhaps you accepted the fair-weather ally because you believed friendship meant mere presence in good times. Each choice carved a corridor inside you. It's time to rebuild the halls. In rebuilding, you carry both courage and gentleness. Courage to step away from what poisons. Gentleness to forgive yourself for having loved, even when it was harmful. You were seeking the light. You were reaching out because you believed in human grace. And you did. Now you understand that grace cannot be a one-way street. It cannot be offered only by you. Real grace flows both ways. Your garden deserves roots that nourish, not strangle. Your heart deserves company that uplifts, not dampens. Your mind deserves dialogue that expands, not constrains. Imagine the person you become when you release these toxic presences. You wake each morning with a sense of spaciousness. Your laughter is not borrowed, your silence not heavy with watched-for approvals. You move through the world as someone who's free to say no, free to say yes, free to shape their own soul city. Others will come, kindred spirits, real allies, those whose presence echoes with genuine interest, whose voice nurtures rather than echoes. You attract that which you embody. And remember, the philosopher's truth echoes simply, toxicity is not just the presence of darkness around you, it is your silence in its presence. If you hold your tongue, hope your way through, survive rather than live, you feed the darkness. But if you name it, step away, reclaim your ground, you plant a lantern. Others will see the path. Others will follow the quiet revolution of someone choosing themselves. So now, after hearing this, close your eyes for a moment. See the garden of your life. See those 6 roots tangled in the soil. See yourself pulling them out, one by one, with patience, with recognition, with firm tenderness. Feel the air change. Feel the sunlight on your leaves. Hear yourself breathe without guilt or over-responsibility. You are worthy of a living ecosystem of respect, care, mutual growth. This isn't just theory, it becomes your map. When the next toxic presence slinks into your orbit, you will know its shape. You will feel the subtle tug, the familiar drain, the pattern of your previous acquiescence. And you will choose differently. Because your new self knows the value of freedom. Your new self knows that connection is a mirror, not a trap. Your new self knows that love cannot ask you to cease being who you are. Stand now, in your center. The world swirls with unpredictable forces, but there is one anchor you hold, your integrity. Let none of those 6 shadows define your story again. Let the story be you, unfettered, awake, alive. And in that living, you become not just a survivor of toxicity, but a beacon for those still entangled.